This video will demonstrate how to schedule a class with multiple components. The term component is used to describe the teaching format or formats of a course. One course offering can have multiple components, such as lecture, lab, or recitation. Each component is scheduled as a separate class section within the same session in the schedule of classes. For example, Biology 223 requires both a lecture and a laboratory component. When a student registers for one component, they are required to register for the other component too. You can find a full list of all the component types and definitions in use at CWRU on the University Registrar's website. When scheduling multiple components, it's important to pay attention to the following fields: class section, component, class type, and associated class. The associated class field contains a number that connects the sections of a course into a single enrollment option. The associated class number can be one of three values. The class section number, this is the default value and means that the section is only associated with itself. The same class section number as the enrollment section of the course offering, or 9999, indicating that a section is associated with any other enrollment section scheduled for the course offering. Let's look at some examples. In this example, students select the lecture section and then are prompted to select one of the two lab sections. In example 2, each lecture section is associated with two lab sections. Students will select one lecture section and then they'll be prompted to select one of the two lab sections. Students who select lecture section 100 are only given the option of selecting laboratory section 110 or 111. Students who select lecture section 200 are given the option of selecting lab section 210 or 211. In example 3, students select either lecture section 100 or 101 and then are prompted to select one of the four laboratory sections. Okay, let's schedule a class together. Log into SIS with your CWRU ID and associated passphrase. From the staff homepage, select the SOC Work Center tile, and then choose Maintain Schedule of Classes. If academic institution isn't populated for you yet, select Case 1. Click the lookup for term and select the appropriate term from the list. Then click Search. All the courses owned by your department and scheduled during the chosen term will appear in the search results. Select the appropriate class. The Basic Data tab appears. The total number of class sections that exist on the record is displayed on the Class Sections box header. Then look at the following fields: session, class section, component, class type, and associated class. All components associated with one another must be scheduled in the same session. The first section of a class should always be 100. The lecture component is typically the enrollment class type, although that's not always the case. The associated class number of the lecture is typically 100 as well, indicating that the lecture is only associated with itself. Click the Show Next Row button until you see a lab section or a non-enrollment section. The first laboratory section is typically class section 110. Its class type is typically non-enroll. Its associated class number is 100, meaning that it is associated with the enrollment section. To add another lab to this course offering and associate it with an existing lecture, click the Add New Row button. A blank class section row appears. The component field will default to the graded component, usually the lecture, so this may need to be changed. And you may need to save the new section before you can select another component type. Next, click the Lookup Session icon. Select the appropriate session from the search results. Enter the appropriate section number into the class section field. For example, if this is the second lab section, enter 111. If necessary, click the Lookup Component icon and select the appropriate component from the list. click the class type list. Select Enrollment if the class section is the one in which the students will enroll. Select Non-Enroll if the class section is not the one for which students will enroll. You can press Tab on your keyboard and the contents of the class section field copy to the associated class field. To associate this lab with the lecture, enter the lecture's section number into the associated class field. Repeat this process of adding sections if necessary. Follow example 2 or example 3 from the introduction to create the appropriate associations. Next, you'll click on the Meetings tab. Set up the meeting pattern and instructor for meeting pattern group boxes for each class section that you create. Click the Save button. This completes the process of scheduling a class with multiple components. Thanks for watching. Please email courses@case.edu with questions.